Well, Jeff Lebby breaks down how Mississippi State's loss to Georgia slipped away and what's got to change before Missouri.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jaron Spor. Welcome to Locked On Mississippi State, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm a national college football writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon McBride. We got a packed show for you today. Kelley Jones and the NFL rumors have been swirling. Mel Kiper chimed in. We'll talk about what he had to say. We'll also have a recruiting update to end the show. Micah Nickerson is back in the fold. How much, though? We'll break that down. But we first got to talk about Jeff Lebby's press conference like we do every single Wednesday. Landon, was there anything that kind of stood out to you?
Another week, a lot less coach speak from Lebby. I don't know if this is a new leaf he's turned over, but he's actually gotten to giving some answers now. And this is something we've heard from him before that jumped out to me, probably because he's done it before. He used the word frustration about 3 times.
Yep.
Talking about how frustrating it was for the game to go the way it did, how frustrating it was, specifically certain moments. So, and then he specifically used it about the offense too. So, I mean, he seems to be, and it's interesting when a coach talks about it's frustrating how the offense, like how it played out. It wasn't necessarily frustration about execution. It was frustration about how it all went. I was like, you're kind of the person in charge of that.
Right.
What do you mean frustrated?
Right. Yeah, and he was more open about that, but then he was very non-committal on injuries. He was asked about Blake Shapen, said, hey, if he's fully healthy, emphasized it.
I believe he said truly healthy.
Yeah, he emphasized it, and he said he's the starter. But then he was asked about Isaac Smith. He said he didn't practice today. We'll see on Wednesday on the designation report. So he's not committal about anything.
No.
Now, if you were to ask me, I think Kamario Taylor is going to end up starting this week.
Okay.
I think Blake Shapen is going to be listed as out, and I think they're going to go that route. Now, Jeff Lebby talked about Kamario Taylor and the confidence he has in him. He said, I got great confidence in Kamario. We got to make all the layups and just man play inside the scheme, play inside the system. One made some great plays. Talked about Kamario for us. He wants a lot of things back, which I knew that he would. And as you watch the tape, there's going to be a great growth for him through playing. That's the reality of it over these last couple of weeks and being able to watch the tape and being able to learn from things. But again, from a confidence standpoint, I've got great confidence in him. I'm glad he mentioned the layups because I saw someone, and I wish I knew who it was on Twitter, but they're a Mississippi State fans. So if you watch the podcast, say that it was you. But he gave a great breakdown of the two, Kamario and Blake Shapen. He said, arm strength, the deep ball, they're pretty equal. But Shapen excels in the medium to short range, which that's where Kamario struggles. And on the other side, Kamario's a way better runner. So that's where the differences are, and I think that's spot on.
I think Kamario probably has more arm strength. He just doesn't know how to use it yet, I think is kind of where it comes down to. But as far as accuracy goes, I mean, I think Shapen has him beat by a pretty long point right now. But that does come through just game experience that, Lebby mentions. He's like, it's about playing, continuing to get the reps. And he says he has to trust what you do Monday through Friday, which I think that's a big part that we don't fully understand as people not going through practice, not playing in these games. You can simulate things as much as you want. And obviously we all know it's different on Saturday, but you still have to trust that what you did in practice still works on Saturday. Like, even if it looks a little bit different, if they throw something a little bit different at you, you still have to trust everything that's gone into your preparation.
Yeah, and that's a sign of a freshman. There's going to be things mentally that he's just not going to read during the games. And that's why before the season, we're like, hey, it makes sense to start Blake Shapen because he's got so much experience. He's going to pick up on those things. And, even he's missed some things that he shouldn't be missing as a veteran quarterback. So you definitely expect Kamario to miss those. But going back to what Lebby said, you have to hit the layups. There was a swing pass that he completely missed. There was another hole shot on a medium route that he's got to fit it in between the linebackers and the safeties, and he airmails it. And, he thankfully airmailed it so bad it was incomplete. Because if he just barely misfires and picked off, it's one of those that you better hit him in stride or it's going to be picked. And so he got away with that. And he's gotten away with a couple of those this year where he's misfired so badly that it fell incomplete, thankfully. Whereas if he just misses just a little differently, it's picked off. So he's gotten away with stuff. And Missouri's a really good defense, and they're going to make you pay for that. Especially if you're just missing by just a little bit.
Yeah, airmailing throws over the middle is usually a quick way for an interception. So he's got to, but also you kind of learn when you're listening to people break down quarterback play and watching enough of it that layering those throws between the linebackers and the secondary is one of the harder things to do, especially for guys with very strong arms, because they're used to being able to just fire it in. And if they have to kind of put some touch on it, that's one of the latter things to come in their development, which he's still so early in the development.
Yeah.
I mean, you put together all of his snaps, he is maybe played a game.
Right.
I mean, and so that's kind of where we're at with him. And like we've said, the talent is there. It's undeniable. It's just going to be him continuing that development and turning that corner.
Yeah, for sure. Now, he did give kind of an update on the rehab process of Will Whitson, Blake Steen, and Kai McClendon. He said all three of those guys are in a really good place. It's a work in progress to get them back going. Obviously, and since their surgeries, they've done a really good job from a rehab standpoint, and we understand what kind of impact those guys are going to make for us moving forward. He was then asked a follow-up about Whitson, about gaining another year of eligibility. He said, no, we began that process and feel good about that. He should be getting that. That is something that I wouldn't expect him to be not get that extra year, Will Whitson, because of the medical red shirt. He should get it. Yeah. But it was good to kind of hear different things and hear how these guys are doing, the recovery process, and then hopefully they do get the good news that Whitson will get that other year.
Yeah, that would be great. Not a little technical difficulty, but I am back. I would really expect him to get that other year, and it's not surprising that we don't have a little bit more concrete information, not only on just rehabs, but kind of where these guys are. I mean, yeah, they're around the team when you kind of have those season-ending injuries, but they're not like fully ingrained with what's going on. So it's not surprising that we're kind of getting a half answer there, but I would really be shocked if Whitson doesn't get that extra year.
I would say the same if it wasn't for it being up to the NCAA.
Well, you never know. Maybe he'll get 2 more years then. Like at this point.
True. Yeah, true. Anytime you leave it up to them, you are usually disappointed. But no, he should, because he's only played in 2 games. So that's below the 4 games, and typically if you're below the 4 games, get injured and miss the season, you get that medical red shirt. So I would be personally shocked if he didn't, although there's always the caveat of the NCAA. But yeah, he should be getting that. All right, coming up next, Kelley Jones to the NFL. Mel Kiper had some very strong words about that. We'll talk about it coming up next. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. The Part Finder tool and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. So join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Excuse me. Real people, real service. Sorry about that. I'm dealing with sinuses today, but once again, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Thank you guys so much. So let's dive into what Mel Kiper said about Kelley Jones. Obviously, everyone that follows football should know who Mel Kiper is. ESPN
best hair in the business.
Best hair in the business. Doing it for like 40 years or something like that.
Yeah.
I always love the crazy stories about he always eats a piece of lemon pie. And then I was watching a podcast recently, Todd McShay's podcast, and he was like, "That's only like the surface of how weird he is. He doesn't have a cell phone. If McShay ever needed to get in touch with him, which he said they're actually really close, he'd have to either call the home phone or call his wife. And then when you would see him with a cell phone at places for like ESPN draft and stuff, it's his wife's phone. It's not his vote. So
Oh yeah.
it's just funny stuff. Anyways, he was talking about Kelley Jones. He said, I believe Mississippi State's Kelley Jones has a chance to be the top cornerback in the class. 6'4" and 195 pounds. He can fly. Watch for him to run around 4.4 seconds or better in the 40-yard dash. Jones also has incredible length, ball skills, and overall feel for coverage. The third-year sophomore seems comfortable with his back to the quarterback, able to return to locate the ball in the air, and he's disruptive at the catch point with 9 pass breakups and 2 interceptions this season. Jones got injured in the third quarter against Georgia, but he looks great before that, holding up against talented wide receivers. That's what we've been saying all year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have. And it's not surprising because he's been playing so well. And if anyone who is a massive draft nerd like I am, you've been listening to people break down, players all year. And this is not, there's no, like Derek Stingley, Sauce Gardner in this draft. You're like, this guy is a top 10 pick. There's a bunch of guys who are very good that are kind of in that 15 to 32 range based off of what everyone's saying at this point. So it's wide open for someone like Kelley Jones with, like he said, 6'4", about 200 pounds. And if he runs like that, teams are going to want him. Now, the thing that, we always hear around draft time about the whole, oh, well, they got graded this, or they were told to go back to school, things like that. How it works is you were told round 1, day 2, or go back to school. There is no like anything else. So if he's graded round 1, I don't see how he doesn't go.
Yeah, their grades come back that way. Now, your agents can ask around and kind of get a feel that way, but the grades come back, as you mentioned. And even when the agents are asking around, it's never like for certain that's when you're going to go. But, I mean, what a rise for him this year. You go from the season that we come into the season where we have question marks. Now, I thought he was going to be really good. I didn't see this coming. And it makes it even more of a shock that he wasn't, I shouldn't say shock because I understand who votes for this stuff, but why he wasn't a semifinalist for the Jim Thorpe Award. It is, I think the awards are ridiculous personally because it's a lot of people that watch their team because that's who they cover, understandably so. They're not able to watch everything else, so they box score watch, and they go box score watch the guys that were preseason nominees for these awards. And that's who they go with. So they don't even know this other guy is having this great year and exists. And so then what happens is the next year they start promoting that guy. It's not the year that he's having right now. So Kelley Jones clearly should be a semifinalist for that, maybe even a finalist for that, but it's definitely a semifinalist. If he were to come back, he'll be up there with the preseason and all this stuff. But that's why you see guys that have down years and still win an award or still, do something. And it's like, how the heck did he just win that if you actually watched him this year? And it's because of all the stuff they'd done in previous years.
Yeah, or you have the guy who has 4 very good years win the award like at the end, and it's like a career achievement award. And you're like, you didn't deserve that this year. And we both thought he would be good, but we were thinking like clearly the best corner on the team, some guy that you feel good about in coverage, he could be the first corner off the board. And is it May now? I always want to say April, but I forget when the draft actually is now.
Yeah, I think it's end of April.
They keep moving it back on me. No one saw that coming. Like that is a crazy rise. And this isn't even like, I mean, people go back and be like, oh, like Joe Burrow had that rise. No, but Burrow was also a quarterback and was rated as like a 4th rounder going into that year.
Yeah, and it's easier for quarterbacks because they're everywhere. And when you played LSU, you're even more everywhere. And when you have the season that LSU had, you're even more everywhere. So,
and you're not a redshirt sophomore, basically unheard of corner who was on one of, if not the worst defense the year before.
Right. And that's why, like, Baker was projected as a later mid-round pick, goes first. Kyler Murray, not even on anyone's boards, goes obviously because he hadn't played, goes number 1. Like, that's why that kind of stuff happens at quarterback. It makes a lot of sense. But, I mean, some of the times it's just the awards, a lot of times actually, are just given to people just because, they were great the last year. Yeah, name. I can't remember if it was Kelvin Banks that won the Outland. And it was like he was not as good the year he won that as he was the year before. And the year before, he wasn't even a finalist kind of thing. But it was because he had been good for 3 years that he got the award. And we see that with receivers. And
running backs.
Running backs. I was about to
all
say
the
Jonathan
time.
Taylor won, which you can argue if he deserved it or not, but he won what, two of them?
1-2. The first one he definitely deserved. Second
Yeah.
one, I don't know about.
Yeah, you can argue, but because he won that first one,
He was there.
and the guy that was up for second came out of nowhere that year.
Mhm.
The guy that's been there and established is the one that gets it.
Yeah, we see that all the time. So it's really not surprising that Kelley Jones is getting the draft buzz. Like, hey, he's playing great. Look at him to really rise up boards.
Yeah.
But no real recognition in college, which this is going to come back to NIL. Like, if he's getting this kind of buzz right now, obviously it's early. And when you're that unknown, people really haven't started to pick apart your game yet. So there's a
Yeah.
chance that he kind of gets picked apart and maybe he gets given like that day 2 grade and he decides, well, if I've done this in 1 year, I go back for another year, the next year
Right.
I can lock down that round. But you're gonna have to pay to keep him, because if Kiper's saying this, those other teams in the SEC, Ohio State, these teams with deep pockets are also seeing what he's doing. And so it might not just be keeping him from the NFL.
Well, and that's the thing. And I will say, I looked at the other ESPN draft experts' top 5, and he's not on anyone's top 5. So it might be one of those things that Kiper's just really high on a guy. And we see that a lot, where Kiper or Daniel Jeremiah, DJ is high on someone and other people aren't. So we'll see what happens. But it will cost a lot to keep him if if he decides to stay. It'll probably depend on how he tests too. But yeah, I mean, he's been outstanding this year, and for Mel Kiper to start taking notice, that's why I would almost rather the draft guys be the ones that vote for the awards, just because they have to dive into all these players. They have to, because they have to come up with draft grades and stuff like that. Now, on the flip side, they're only usually looking at draft eligible guys, so then you have to kind of take that into account too. But usually they're watching a lot more football than the beat writers and things like that. Understandably so. Again, that's not a knock against the beat writers. Like, you're not paid to do all that. You're paid to cover the team.
Yeah, and the draft guys, they should at least pull them for some of these names, even if they don't vote for the final one. Because I was listening to one, they were breaking down Boston College guards. Like, I mean, no writer knows how good a guard at Boston College is outside of the guy who covers Boston College. So, yeah, that needs to be a change. But keeping Kelley Jones is going to be probably priority number 1. Well, 2.
Yeah.
1 is Kamario Taylor. 2 is Kelley Jones, honestly.
Well, and I think it was last year. But which ironically, both of those guys are number 1. But so they're both priority number 1, literally. But I was going to say this. I think it was last year where the Joe Moore Award, the finalists for the Joe Moore Award, I believe it was Rutgers. It was some weird team, but I think it was Rutgers. Wasn't a finalist, but 4 of their 5 offensive linemen were the number 1 graded player at their position. And they weren't even a finalist for that award. It's because no one thinks about Rutgers, and they weren't very good and all this stuff. But they obviously had a good year. But all right, coming up next, we have a quick recruiting update. Is a 4-star back into play? We'll talk about it.
The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. And it keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, let's jump into recruiting notes. Micah Nickerson is back in the fold in terms of back in the news. He did an interview with On3, Paul Jones from Mississippi State's On3, the Maroon and White Daily, and he talked about Mississippi State. He said, I still got some schools on me pretty hard. Remember, he's committed to Missouri, who ironically we play this week. He said, I have Auburn, Mississippi State, Miami on me, and Ole Miss recently offered me. Auburn and Miami have talked about some official visits, but nothing has happened yet. Then with Mississippi State, he said, it's still good with Mississippi State. I've been back over there lately, and it was good. Their coaches have just been trying to get me back up there, and I'm still looking at them and keeping my options open. and it was reported he has been at the last 2 home games. So again, getting him up there as much as possible is great, and it does help. He's a Mississippi kid, so it's easier to get him up there.
Yeah, getting him on campus is kind of the first step. He keeps coming to these games, and it's going to be hard. I mean, pulling someone away from Missouri that's a defensive lineman with how they've been producing defensive linemen lately, that's not going to be easy. They've got a track record. They're bringing in guys. Both of their edge rushers this year are very good. Sticking with the draft theme, probably both being drafted in the first 3 rounds next year. Yeah. I mean, they're both very good players. So you're in a battle, but again, you're in the battle. And this is a battle that kind of seemed closed, and you push the door back open. So
yeah,
it's a pretty good place to be in.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't help that you mentioned Missouri's edges are doing well. Mississippi State's aren't. So that doesn't help either. Well, the defense has been better as a whole. The D-line hasn't shown that jump yet. But his ranking's kind of all over the place. He's a 4-star, top 160 player on Rivals, but he's a 3-star, not even listed on 24/7 and then ESPN. But if you go back to what we've all talked about, is kind of following those offers. He mentioned Auburn, Missouri, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. He mentioned he just got an offer from them. So he's got a solid offer list. Now, he's going to be a little bit of a project because he's 6'5", 215. He's got a frame to put on muscle and weight, and he's going to have to do that.
Yeah, at 6'5", 215, that's not a guy you expect to contribute really much as a freshman. I mean, maybe you have a few packages for him if, he forces his way on. You get him on as a DPR, a designated pass rusher, but he's not someone who can hold up against the run at all at that weight. Yeah. But two years down the line, that guy's probably 6'5", 250, and that's your starting the end.
Yeah, as long as he hits it hard. Obviously, has hit the workout hard, which, there's nothing that tells us he won't. But, this game this weekend could be a big thing for that. And I'm not saying that, and I've said this many times.
The Micah Nickerson Bowl?
Yeah, the Micah Nickerson Bowl. And I've said this many times, just because you play well in that game doesn't mean, and you win, like, oh, this guy's now going to decommit. Recruits just don't overreact like that. Like fans do. Fans overreact at that stuff. Recruits don't. They look at the bigger picture. They look at who they want to play for in terms of the coaches, where they want to play. They talk with their family, what scheme fits them better, what have those teams proven with their position. They look at all that. Now, another thing, Eli Drinkwitz has been named for a lot of coaching jobs out there. Does that shake things up? I'm not sure. He did say he graduates in December, so he's going to be an early enrollee. So that will be something to keep an eye on as well. And maybe that's why he's keeping his options open because of those rumors.
Yeah, that might be why he's taking a few visits. He's listening to a few more pitches because Drinkwitz leaves. Maybe he's going to open that door wide open and decommit and start that recruitment all over again. So the fact that he's taking these visits and getting into Starkville, that doesn't mean you're going to get him if he decommits, but that means you are firmly in the conversation if he does decommits. And even if you might be the reason he decommits at this point. I mean, you got to just keep fighting. We keep talking about it. You got to be in these battles before you can win them.
Yeah.
And right now they're in all of them. Just be nice to close a few.
Random. It would be nice to close a few and also get some results. Maybe win this weekend, get that bowl game, and then maybe you start closing some more. Yeah. But all right. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On SEC. Chris Gordy breaks down the best conference in college sports from the rivalries to the championship and every game in between. Find Locked On SEC on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Jaron Spor. Check out my work over at Athlon Sports. That's Landon. Follow us, Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Post daily videos Monday through Friday, so check those out. We also have our pre- and post-game video that we post. That will be out for Saturday as well, so check that out. And until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.